So while Chicago was, in our own sorrows when it comes to the Chicago Bulls and very angry at the city of Milwaukee, a local kid and a local legend both made sure to get a little bit of revenge for the city of Chicago as the San Francisco 49ers, behind Jimmy Garoppolo, Elijah Mitchell, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, and Robbie Gould, beat Aaron Rodgers' Green Bay Packers 13-10. San Francisco is in the NFC Championship game. And more relevant to the city of Chicago, Aaron Rodgers and his season over, one and done. Marver, your initial thoughts when that field goal went up the uprights and the San Francisco 49ers were celebrating at Lambeau Field?
Unbelievable. I mean, who would have thought it? I mean, nobody would have predicted that the 49ers would play the Bengals in the Super Bowl. Present company excluded. But, the bye is supposed to be a big deal, but maybe they ought to rethink that, because the number one seeds were the Titans and the Packers, and they both went down. Now, in terms of, it's going to be interesting now, because San Francisco and Cincinnati will not be the hosts for the championship game. Neither one can, no matter what happens. And the Rams and Tampa are playing for the home field in the championship game, and so are Buffalo and Kansas City. So that makes it quite interesting, particularly if they have to play in Buffalo at the end of January. I don't know what that would be like, but be that as it may, it was quite surprising. Even the Cincinnati win with that long, 52-yard field goal at the buzzer, it didn't look like that was going to happen, but it did, and all props to them. And Cincinnati, don't forget, was one of the few wins for the Chicago Bears this year. Keep that in mind. It's pretty amazing, huh? And so it's going to be interesting in the championship game next week to see. I don't think San Francisco or Cincinnati will be favored, clearly, but they both had to go through some tough times to get there. Cincinnati had not won a road playoff game ever. That was the first one in history. So that was quite an accomplishment right there. But it looks like Burrows is developing, and the Garoppolo from Eastern Illinois and I guess the northwest suburbs is the only local hero remaining for us to maybe talk about. Maybe he'll get to play someday in his hometown at the Arlington Heights Bears.
Oh, we'll see. Shout out to Francisco Leja and my brother, Alex Mercado. They played against Jimmy G at the Rolling Meadows Oak Grove Grenadiers. And the kid is a stud. And again, here's the thing. Is he a top 15 quarterback? I don't know. But the thing that interests me about Cincinnati and San Francisco are a lot of the X factors and a lot of the things that they do in January that really get you over the top in these type of games. Look, in the NFL regular season, we get to see 32-34, 41-37. But in January, that's not that. And if you can get multiple guys to be great running backs and a Frankenstein of a monster at tight end, and a quarterback that isn't going to turn over the ball, you have a great chance at winning that game. And the big X factor, why I think Cincinnati has a really great chance of winning the entire thing, then you add all that with the Y factor of Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow's relationship. Now, he can't get sacked 9 times because that, in a Super Bowl or in an AFC Championship game, that is going to ruin everything. But let's stay locally. Let's talk about Aaron Rodgers. Let's make some crazy, way too early to predict, but we've been talking about it anyway, all season predictions. Aaron Rodgers, was that his last game as a Green Bay Packer at Lambeau Field? What do you think, Marver?
I thought there was a very good likelihood earlier in the season, but I'm not so sure anymore. I mean, it seems like they've patched things up to some degree when you say, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of acrimony. I mean, there was during the preseason and the exhibition season, but I wouldn't be shocked if he came back at this point. So that would be my bet. I'd say it's better than 50-50 that he'll be with the Packers again.
It's the marvelous one, Dan Marver. I'm Mike Mercado here on the Sports Cubicle. Of course, Paul Chivari and the one and only Devin Tingle will be joining us throughout the entire show. Marver, did you think, and of course, when you're watching like good teams play football, you always compare the Chicago Bears to them. And I tweeted this out. I posted it all over social media. Joe Burrow smoking a cigar for LSU. And I put up there, as a lifelong Chicago Bears fan, I have no idea what it feels like to have a quarterback like Joe Burrow. ... Please don't screw up Justin Fields. when you're watching all these teams, when this matchup of Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Matthew Stafford, Tom Brady, Joe Burrow is there, and then not even the playoffs, Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert, the list goes on and on and on. What did you feel as a Bears fan, beyond the excitement of the Packers losing that game? What did you feel as a Bears fan? Did you feel like they are much further away from a Super Bowl? They might be closer to a Super Bowl, or is it the NFL is wild and who knows what it's going to be next year?
Again, anything can happen on a given day in the NFL. I mean, like I say, the Bears beat Cincinnati, so that's some evidence there. But I think that the problem has been that they didn't have a system designed for success for Fields, whereas these other teams seem to utilize the skill set of these young players. That's the difference. I think that, I mean, for the first few games that Fields played, he was running for his life most of the time, and I don't think he had developed or needed in the past the skill set to not take a sack and just throw it out of bounds. It didn't seem like he ever did that. But later on, he seemed to develop the sense that it was better to take a 3rd and 10 instead of a 2nd and 20. A 3rd and 20. So that's something that he's developed. He's going to develop. There's a lot of skill. I'm just concerned about who they're going to get. It'll be interesting to see if they get a defensive guru or an offensive guru. I was advocating offense because defense seems to be in pretty good hands, but they're looking at both sides. It looks like even with the Tampa offensive and defensive coordinator, they're looking at both of them. So it will be interesting to see. That will be the key, what kind of system they have, because the systems seem to be the key for these other people that is working for them, to be successful. So, like I've said before, there's, year in and year out, certain teams seem to adapt to the opponent. New England has done that. Even Pittsburgh, to some degree, they seem to be able to adjust to different kind of scenarios. And the experience is really a different. Look at Dalton. I mean, he's able to improvise, obviously, more than Fields right now. And you look at the veterans, like the Brady's and the Rodgers. They've been around so long that it's like something clicks in, and their first choice isn't there, and they know exactly what to do. So that's some of the things that need to develop for Fields.
And we'll see what direction they're going on. This is something Josh and I talk about later on in the show, is this idea that the GM is a name that you could get excited for, you could have content for. It doesn't matter. It's just a name until things are getting implemented. The head coach is really going to be the fascinating decision for the Chicago Bears, because that's the immediate impact of what the system is going to be. You need to have a good roster, and you need to have a leader, a CEO of people in that position. And we're seeing that around the NFL. People who are able to lead their team and make smart decisions. And unlike the Green Bay Packers, have enough men on the field on special teams when you've been the worst special teams team in the National Football League. But let us know your thoughts. What do you think Aaron Rodgers has done as a Green Bay Packer? How close are the Chicago Bears to a Super Bowl? We're on Twitter at Sports Cubicle TV.